Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. We've got a London derby for this Monday night football as West Ham host Brentford at the London Stadium. With both sides sat in the bottom half of the table, 3 points would be vital for one of these sides. The Hammers are at the beginning of a new era. After the sacking of Potter, they moved on quickly to appoint Nuno Espirito Santo after his dismissal from Nottingham Forest. Since the Portuguese manager took charge, it has been a point picked up at Everton in his opening game away from home, and also another away game, but it was a defeat, and it was a 2-0 loss to Arsenal at the Emirates. But this will be a home debut, and the West Ham fans will want just a second win of the season. Brentford have had a monumental change, with previous manager Thomas Frank moving to Spurs and key players such as Mbeumo, Wissa and club captain Norgard moving away to other Premier League clubs. But they have promoted from within, as Keith Andrews has gone from set-piece coach to first-team manager, and with 4 wins from their first 9 in all competitions, Andrews has got his team outside the relegation zone after 2 league wins this season against Villa and Manchester United, both at home. The Premier League head-to-head is heavily in favour of the Bees. From their 8 meetings, Brentford have won 6, with 3 at home and 3 away. The other 2 results have seen West Ham win 4-2 here at the London Stadium in February 2024, and then a 1-1 draw last season at the G-Tech Community Stadium. So for 2 teams who need to start collecting points to avoid any sort of relegation battle, can West Ham get their first win under Nuno Espirito Santo, or will Brentford win their first away game this season in the Premier League? It's been an absolute roller coaster of a weekend in the Premier League. Of course, we started the weekend with the sacking of Ange Postecoglou, who took over from Nuno Espirito Santo at Forest and lasted, I think it was 39 days, and was it 8 games altogether in all competitions. It just never seemed like the appointment was ever going to work, but for it to last just over a month probably was a shock to everyone. We know these days it's a results-based business, and that kind of sums it up. It never really looked like it was going to turn at any point soon for Nottingham Forest under Postecoglou, so I think they were kind of right to make the change when they did. I know it seems harsh, but such contrasting styles between the 2 managers, they're kind of reverting back to that kind of deeper lower block, maybe on the break style with it. Looks like Sean Dyche is going to be taking charge of Nottingham Forest. So as Nuno was sacked about a month and a half ago, he's moved on to West Ham, took charge of 2 games and started with a draw at Everton, 1-1 draw, and then lost 2-0 away at the Emirates, a game they were not really expected to gain too much from. But a game tonight, Brentford at home, is exactly a sort of game you want to, that's a game you've got to be looking at winning, especially more so this version of Brentford. No disrespect to them, but losing what they have. And I think people tend to forget that they've not just lost key players and their manager. They've lost their manager to Spurs, they've lost their captain to Arsenal, a forward who scored 20 odd goals for them last season to Manchester United, and then Johan Wissa to Newcastle. These are big Premier League clubs, so it shows the quality of those players. Not like we needed to know the quality of them, because we already knew they were fantastic players, but they've proved that by getting those big moves, and that's difficult for Brentford to replace. Of course, they've tried to keep some sort of continuity with bringing in Keith Andrews, who was obviously the set-piece coach last season. And interestingly enough, with Keith Andrews, the head coach now for Brentford, he actually applied for the manager's job at MK Dons in League Two and was rejected. He didn't get that job in the end, so the fact that he's kind of not landed on his feet, because of course he's earned this right to have a go with Brentford, but he's obviously found himself at the right place at the right time. The opportunity came about and he took it with both hands. Like I say, 4 wins from 9 in all competitions, and those 2 other wins that weren't in the league are impressive victories. 2 in the League Cup to Bournemouth and Aston Villa, which are 2 Premier League opposition. So he's definitely got off to a bright start, and the games they've lost, they've not exactly been to poor opposition. I don't think there really is poor opposition these days in the Premier League, but they lost their first game away at Nottingham Forest to Nuno Espirito Santo, and then lost away to Sunderland, who have got off to an absolute flying start, and that was a late defeat as well. They've lost to Fulham away, which on their day under Marco Silva can beat any team. And of course, most recently, before the international break, to Manchester City. And that was only a 1-0 defeat. A ninth minute goal from Erling Haaland, but in that game they only had 6 shots and 1 on target, so you can kind of see that where kind of Manchester City really dominated the game despite the scoreline being rather close. But it's exciting for Brentford. I think it'll be exciting, but also a little bit nervy, because it is the fear of the unknown. You can't really predict how Brentford are going to do this year. We've never seen Keith Andrews manage before, and we've not seen a Brentford side without the likes of Norgard, Wissa and Burmo as well. But we'll have to wait and see. Like, they're 16th at the minute, 7 points. If they win tonight, they can go up to 13th. But no matter what, they will be still outside of the relegation zone. They do have a difficult couple of games coming up, though, in the Premier League. They've got Liverpool away, they've got Crystal Palace away as well coming up. So, going to be difficult for them, but they'll have the belief that they can try and pick up some points if they can. Of course, for West Ham, they've got some nicer looking fixtures coming up. They've got Leeds away coming up in the next game week, which will be difficult. Newcastle at home again, not started great this season with Eddie Howe, but again at the London Stadium, home fans, they'll try and get something from that. And then Burnley at home as well, which in fairness are going a little bit under the radar. They've picked up some wins already this season. Burnley at the weekend against Leeds, put up a great fight against Liverpool as well a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago now, that game. And so it's like I said, the Premier League is always this up and down emotion kind of for everyone. With your own teams, you're up 1 minute, then you're down. But this season, it does seem like the Premier League can go in any direction. I feel like any 3 teams could go down. I don't think it's a given that the promoted teams will go straight back down. Like Sunderland show that they're well and truly up for staying up and probably going to aim for mid-table, really. Burnley have picked up a nice amount of wins, and again Leeds at the weekend. I know they got beat by Burnley, but they played brilliantly. The stats were there that they dominated the game. They had high XG. I know which people don't like that stat, but again, it does kind of give you a bit of clarity on how good are the chances that were made for a team who might lose like that. And they had an XG, I think, of around 2. So they just didn't take their chances, which they're going to have to start doing, Leeds, because the Premier League can be brutal. If you don't take your chances, you will go down, and they've experienced that already in the last couple of years. So it's going to be a big game for these two sides, because they don't want to be drawn into that relegation battle. These two squads have got more than enough quality to survive, but if you don't build momentum, if you don't build that continuity and that togetherness, this league can seriously bring you down, and that's what these two sides will want to avoid. But there are the two teams setting foot onto the pitch. There is Nuno Espirito Santo and Keith Andrews meeting once more. Of course, Nuno Espirito Santo got the better of Keith Andrews in the first game of the season as Forest beat Brentford by 3-1, but this time his Brentford side travelled to West Ham at the London Stadium. And it looks like there might be a bit of a boycott. I know the West Ham fans still aren't happy with their ownership. There is a little flurry of kind of empty seats around the ground, but nothing too major, as we'll go through both sets of starting 11s, and we'll go through West Ham first. And Alphonse Areola keeps his spot in goal. He's now played in the last 4 Premier League games. A back 4 of Kyle Walker-Peters, who's played Brentford 5 times in his career and has lost all 5 times. On the opposite side will be Ollie Scarles, the 19-year-old left-back who's making his first Premier League appearance of the season. And 2 centre-halves of Jean-Claire Todibo, and he'll partner alongside Max Kilman, who makes his 50th appearance for the Hammers. 2 hold midfielders of Thomas Soucek and Andy Irving, who's making his first Premier League start of the season. In front of them will be Mateus Fernandes, who they brought in from Southampton for £42 million. And the front 3 on the right, it looks like this front 3 could certainly interchange, but on the right is going to be Lucas Paquetá, who's making his 100th Premier League appearance. On the left is Crysencio Somerville, who scored 1 goal last season for West Ham. It's his only goal for the club, and that came in a 2-1 home win against Manchester United at the back end of October, nearly a year ago now. And up front, leading the line, he's featured in every game so far this season for West Ham, and that is captain Jared Bowen, who's on the 3 league goals already this season. And for Brentford is Kevin Kelleher, in goal, who famously saved a Ronaldo penalty in the last international break just gone. A back four of Michael Kayode, Nathan Collins, Sepp van den Berg and Christopher Ayer. Three in midfield of Jordan Henderson, Yegor Yarmouk and Mikkel Damsgaard, who assisted 10 times last season in the Premier League. He's yet to do so this campaign. And the front three, club record signing of Dango Ouattara is on the right-hand side, Kevin Schade on the left, making his 75th Premier League appearance, and leading the line up front is Igor Thiago. He's got 4 goals in 7 Premier League appearances so far this season. One against Forest on the opening day, one against Sunderland, and then a brace against Manchester United back at the end of September in that 3-1 victory over the Red Devils. It's going to be a really interesting matchup between the two. Both very new to their head coaches. Of course, Brentford have had a bit more time with theirs. Keith Andrews appointed over the summer as they learnt Thomas Frank was moving on. And for West Ham, Nuno has not been here for very long at all. He has signed a contract up until 2028. He has, of course, now had an international break with quite a lot of his players. Of course, some of them would have been away on international duty. But it will be Brentford to kick us off for this first half, kicking right to left. West Ham left to right. Brentford will be in their away kit, which looks like a light blue, as both sets of players and officials take the knee before kick-off. An act that has been happening all the way through the weekend in all of the Premier League games for their campaign for no room for racism. As Brentford kick us off, they go back together. Long ball forward up towards the Brentford left-hand side towards Thiago. Bounces off of him and straight to Irving. Bowen then helps it forward to Paquetá, who lays it off for Somerville, who can get on his bike and get running into the Brentford half. He's playing it through to Paquetá on the right side of the box. Tries to get it back through towards Somerville. Cut out by Henderson, and that'll be an early set piece for West Ham United on this near side. One-touch football, Somerville to Bowen, then up to Paquetá, who laid it off to Somerville, who can drive with the ball. We know that's one of his strengths. That ball carrying into the final third. And that final ball towards the Dutchman. Couldn't quite find him in the box. But a very positive start for Nuno Espirito Santo's side, who want an early goal, just like Manchester United got theirs early at Anfield yesterday, as Irving with an in-swinger towards the back post. It's a header away, but still alive for Somerville on that far side. Laying it off to Fernandez, who crosses left-footed towards Bowen, glanced away by Ouattara. Always finds Irving on the right-hand side. Edge of the box, it's Paquetá to Bowen. Back to goal, turning away from Ayer, kicking it off the defender. Out for another West Ham corner. Of course, they'll be wanting the West Ham fans back on side after the pretty disappointing appointment of Graham Potter. But they are still letting the West Ham board know they are still not satisfied with everything that's going on, especially since the departure of David Moyes. Is Irving again with another in-swinger towards goal. It's had to be glanced behind by Schade. Very much goal-bound, that corner from Andy Irving, the Scotsman. 25-year-old midfielder, making just his 16th appearance for the club. Joined back in August 2023 from Klagenfurt in Austria. This is his first start of the season in all competitions. As he's going to take another corner from the opposite side, so it's going to be an outswinger from Irving. He's going to try and clip it towards Paquetá on the edge of the box, chested down by Henderson, or as far as Somerville, who's got his back to goal, outside the area for now. Finding Irving, and then restarting all the way back to the halfway line to Kyle Walker-Peters, who was brought in on a free from Southampton in the summer. Made over 200 appearances for Southampton in a 5-year stint at the club. As Areola goes long up towards Paquetá on the right-hand side, he heads on, and he will chase down his own header towards the corner flag, but too much pace on it, and it will roll out for a Brentford goal kick. 2.5 minutes in, still goalless, but a really positive start from the Hammers, as there is Nuno Espirito Santo. Took charge of 71 Forest games in the end, 30 wins, 26 defeats, but he did only win 3 of his last 12 from April to August of this year, so it didn't end exactly the way he would have wanted it to. But we know how much of a mess that club has ended up in since his dismissal. As Kelleher gets it beyond the halfway line, down the Brentford left, headed on by Schade, straight out of play, and that'll be a throw-in for West Ham United. There's Keith Andrews. 7 points from 7 Premier League games so far. 4 defeats against Forest away, Sunderland away, Fulham away, and then Manchester City at home. As it does look like Kyle Walker-Peters will be playing left-back for the beginning of the game, and Ollie Scarl's at right back. So they'll be on their opposite sides, which is interesting from Nuno Espirito Santo, as the ball's broken loose here to Fernandes for West Ham, plays to his right to Paquetá, just on the edge of the area, tries to lift it through towards Souček, cut out by Van den Berg, cleared for Brentford up towards Ouattara, who is tackled by Irving, ball goes up in the air, and it's left the boot of Ouattara to find Thiago, who's one-on-one with Kilman here, goes to his left to Ouattara, one more ball on for Schade, and he's free, in the box, angle is tight, but he goes for the shot, and hits the side netting. 4 minutes in, still goalless. That's Brentford's first sniff at goal. Irving won the first tackle, but the ball went up in the air and he had to go with an aerial challenge with Ouattara. And the club record signing for Brentford won the header and ended up playing it forward to Thiago. And then Thiago went across to Ouattara and then on once more to Schade. And he couldn't quite divert it on target. Brentford's number 7, who scored in this fixture last season in a 1-0 victory for Brentford. Scored in the 4th minute as well, almost just did the exact same thing. As off the ball before, when West Ham were attacking, 2 Brentford players did collide, and one of them who's come out worst is Michael Kayode. So they are sending out Rico Henry to warm up. Only 21 years of age, the Italian fullback, Michael Kayode, brought in on a permanent deal in the summer for £50 million from Fiorentina. Spent the last 6 months of last season on loan here before making the move permanent. Spent 4 years coming through at Juventus before a 4-year stint at Fiorentina. Definitely an objective of Keith Andrews to give these young players as many starts as possible, the likes of Michael Kayode and Yegor Yarmouk as well, the 21-year-old Ukrainian midfielder. So just a slight pause in play. He's back to his feet, the Brentford number 33, the right back. Play will carry on from a goal kick, with Todibo bringing it forward from the back for West Ham. He'll go across to his centre-back partner of Max Kilman, who's played every minute so far in the Premier League this season. Started 84 successive Premier League games. The last time he was on the bench, Max Kilman, was back in May 2023. So it's now start number 85 in a row for the 28-year-old, who's making his 50th West Ham appearance. Yet to score, though, for the club, after joining for £40 million from Wolves, as Paquetá receives the ball from a lovely flick by Fernandes. He's turning away from Yarmouk and lays it off for Souček. Out wide right to Bowen, who's on the right wing here. One-on-one with Ayer. Crosses left-footed. It's a dangerous one that goes in. No touch off a Brentford player. Goal kick for the Bees. Certainly a bright start for West Ham. Just slightly behind Somerville there. The ball from Jared Bowen, who is 10 goals off being West Ham's Premier League all-time leading scorer. It is currently Antonio on 68. And Bowen's on 59 as it stands. As Brentford play out from the back, 7 minutes in at the London Stadium. Still goalless, but both sides having sights at goal. As Collins, the captain, goes long up towards Thiago, who heads it away from Kilman, but straight into the 18-yard box. And it's an easy collection for Alphonse Areola, who's now made well over 100 appearances for West Ham, after joining permanently in July of 2022 from PSG, but did spend the season before on loan at West Ham. Of course, had tasted Premier League experience before with Fulham, where he was relegated in that season under Scott Parker. But these two last season, it was a 1-1 draw at Brentford at the end of September. A first-minute goal from Burmo and an equaliser in the second half from Souček made sure the spoils were shared. And then a 1-0 win here for Brentford, with Kevin Schade with the goal in the middle of February. As Ouattara tries to play the run of Kayode, and he'll find him and he'll lift it towards the far post. Schade with the header towards goal, and it loops into the hands of Areola. Another half chance there for Brentford. Schade, the one putting it towards goal. Fantastic overlap there from Michael Kayode, and he was well found by Ouattara. Just tried to head it back across goal there, Schade, because the angle was tight, but couldn't quite find a teammate. As it is in the centre circle of Yarmouk. Pokes it out towards the right to Ouattara. Loses out to Walker-Peters. Fernandez touches it on, but can only find the feet of Coyote for Brentford. And it is the wayside on the ball. In a right-back position with Yarmouk. Signed a new contract, the Ukrainian, in May of this year to keep his stay here at Brentford till 2031. He plays a ball into space down the right-hand side for Coyote. No one closing him down, so he can cross it in towards Sharda, who gets the header towards goal. And it just goes over the bar. I think he's asking for a corner. The referee doesn't give it. Won the header there on Ollie Scarles, Kevin Sharda. It was a looping ball in with a bit of curl from Coyote. And Sharda got up there highest and just came off his shoulder in the end. Decent little leap there from Kevin Sharda. Souček heads it on towards Somerville as the goal kick went long. Somerville looking for Bowen into space on the edge of the area, but cut out by Coyote. It's now Henderson going back to Yarmouk, bringing the ball out towards the Brentford left. He's been chased down by Souček, tries to go around him, but the Czech international slides in and wins it and kicks it forward to Bowen. Then touches it inside towards Somerville, who loses out there to Ayer, but the kick goes straight to Fernandez, who fancies it from long range, and it'll cannon off Collins, and that'll be a corner again for West Ham on this near side. They are racking up these corners very quickly. West Ham United. Big money signing from Southampton in the summer. Fernandez, £42 million. Scored just the 4 goals in just over a year stay at the Saints. Just over 10 minutes in, still goals. Irving goes to the edge of the area here to Scarles, who will then cross it. It's a deep one, it's curling inwards, but not enough to trouble Kelleher. And it's a goal kick for Brentford. Like I say, interesting that Ollie Scarles is playing at right back, because he is naturally left-footed in the left back, but Nuno is mixing it up and playing Walker-Peters on the left and Scarles on the right. It's Brentford bring it out from the back. They've only failed to score in one of their 9 games so far this season in all competitions, Brentford, and that was in their last game before the international break against Manchester City. Vandenberg, the left centre-back, wanting to go forward, but going across instead to the captain Collins, who was the only outfield player last season to play every single minute in the Premier League. And that's out of every player in the league, so very consistent from Nathan Collins. 87th appearance now for Brentford. It's the most he's ever played for one club at senior level. There's a ball forward from Henderson, cut out by Walker-Peters. It's now forward into the centre circle to Paquetá, who completes the 1-2 with Irving and then quickly sweeps it out to the right flank here to Bowen, about 15 yards inside the Brentford half. He just slows it down and goes back towards halfway to Irving. It's now with Jean-Claire Todibo, the former Barcelona man. Spent 2.5 years at the club before making that move to Nice. And from Nice, he joined West Ham permanently this summer for £36.3 million. As Areola goes long up towards Souček, loses out to Collins, controlled by Henderson, who looks over the top and in behind for Sharda. It's a brilliant left-footed ball. Sharda with a touch inside, it's overhit and collected by Areola. Not the worst of ideas, that, though, from Sharda, because he did get in front of his man, but again, the touch was just slightly too heavy, which allowed Areola to catch that ball. And he's dropped it, as he wants to play, with his feet. And he goes long with the ball towards Paquetá. Vandenberg wins the header. And then the second ball won by Henderson. Chested down by Ayer. Coyote wanting to go forward, the Italian. But he's being closed down by Fernandez, who's not giving up the chase. Coyote overruns it slightly, but then gets away with it, but then doesn't because Somerville didn't give it up himself. And there's now West Ham on the ball on the halfway line. They have to restart, though, and go backwards. It's now with Kilman. He's been closed down by Thiago. He's going to drive forward himself, the centre-back, and just about keeps it alive, shifting it to Walker-Peters. On the far side for West Ham United. On the halfway line, it's Irving. Switching it now to the right-hand side to Scarles. Somerville. Into the middle now for Irving. Lays it off of Bowen towards Paquetá. Cut out, but not as far as Souček. It's now Fernandez, who's tackled by Yarmouk and will drive with the ball. He's only got Thiago in support ahead of him. turns back and waits for the support, and he finds Henderson, who's making a run forward. Has to turn back because he had Somerville chasing him every step of the way. And it's now Brentford's time. And turn to just slow things down. Just over 13 and a half minutes in, still 0-0. Both teams certainly playing with that sort of swagger that they believe that they can win this game. And I think both teams have every right to think they can win. It's quite an evenly matched two sets of squads, really. It's Nathan Collins on the halfway line. No press from any of the West Ham forwards at the moment. Yarmouk on that far side. He's got Coyote in front of him. Goes inside to Damsgaard, who's not been involved in the game at all, really. And he's usually the one who makes things happen for Brentford, Mikel Damsgaard. You've got a goal and an assist against Greece in the international break just gone. Long ball forward to Thiago. Controls it beautifully. And lays it out wide right to Coyote, who gets time to cross it once more, and it's towards Ouattara. Can't head it towards goal, goes to the back post where it's kept alive by Sharda. It's now Christopher Ayer into the box to Damsgaard, keeps it away from Bowen. Sharda outside the area for now, goes back to Henderson. Now down the line to Damsgaard on his right foot, inside to Sharda, tries to play it through towards Ayer. Cut out in the end by Bowen. It's now with Irving on this near side for West Ham. Can't quite release it, last touch off Henderson. And that'll be a throw in a right back position for West Ham. As Nuno against Brentford, he's managed against them 6 times, won 3, lost twice. His teams have scored 10 and conceded 6 against Brentford. Of course, usually Thomas Frank's sides. It's Ouattara. Tries to slip it through towards Thiago in the box. Cut out by Walker-Peters. Shocking clearance straight to Sharda. Helped out by his teammate Scarles. But Bowen can't keep it alive. But then it's given away after a heavy touch from Yarmouk. But then the pass from Somerville out wide right to Paquetá wasn't successful. Brentford throwing. Taken quickly. And then it's now with Yegor Yarmouk, who played 84 minutes for Ukraine against Azerbaijan away from home in the October international break. Just inside their own half at the minute. It's Nathan Collins looking out on this Brentford right-hand side. Again, no one closing him down at the moment. This is where Nuno likes his team to be compact and not to get pulled apart too easily. Jordan Henderson inside the West Ham half at the moment. Very experienced Jordan Henderson. 21st time he's playing West Ham. He scored against them once. And that was in a 1-0 win for Sunderland at the Stadium of Light back in December 2010. Quite the time ago for Jordan Henderson, who's now at the age of 35. Still getting called up to the England squads, which I think shows how professional he is, and the character and the leadership he brings to whatever squad he's in. Of course, had that controversial move to Saudi Arabia with Al Ettifaq, but kind of got himself back on track, making a move back into Europe with Ajax, where he lost out on the last day to the Eredivisie title. Lost the title by 1 point after winning just one of their last 5 league games at the back end of last season. It's over 17 minutes in here at the London Stadium as East London take on West London. And on this near side, it's going to be a long Brentford throw-in, which will be taken by Michael Coyote. And in the interview before the game, Keith Andrews says he likes chaos. He thinks his team deal with it better than most. This will cause chaos. The long throw goes into the near post, headed away by Souček, headed back in by Damsgaard, towards Thiago, who does poke it towards goal. And the free kick's gone against him because of a high boot. But that wasn't dealt with very convincingly by West Ham. It was Kilman who went down in the end. Throw-in went in long. Souček won the first header. Damsgaard headed it back in. No one took accountability for it. Todibo tried, but as he jumped to head it, he completely missed it. So it bounced in the box, which then caused that chaos. And in the end, it was a high boot from Thiago on Kilman. So it's a free kick to West Ham in the end. Still goalless here on this Monday Night Football. As Paquetá heads on the long goal kick, and Bowen almost sets away Somerville. key interception from Collins. It's now with Walker-Peters on the far side. Goes inside to Irving, back out wide to Fernandez. It's quick one-touch passing here at times from the Hammers. Pleasing on the eye. Somerville drifting inside into a more central area. Paquetá, Souček, first time out wide right looking for Scarles. Cut out though by Schade towards his own corner flag. Gets around the full-back, very well played from the German. Then forward to Damsgaard, places his touch, and then it's one back here. It's now Paquetá on the edge of the box, slips it through for Bowen. The angle's tight, but he'll go for the strike! And it goes wide and eventually curls all the way out for a throw-in for Brentford. Not far away there from Jared Bowen, who has scored 7 in his 13 games previously against Brentford. He scored 5 in 8 against them in the Premier League. That included a hat-trick in West Ham's only Premier League win against tonight's opposition, back in February of 2024. It's now Brentford's turn to try and get forward. Ayer taking it beyond the halfway line. You've got Schade making a run down the left. He'll try and go through the middle to Igor Thiago, who's been forced out wide slightly in the 18-yard box. Plays it backwards into Ouattara. 1-on-1 with Walker-Peters. Takes it towards the byline. Tries the cross, deflects. It's a header away from Kilman. Back out towards Ouattara on the right wing, who will let it roll out for a throw-in. So another launch into the box here for Michael Kayode. Bit of off the ball grappling as that first Ouattara cross went in between Schade and Scarles. Doesn't look like there's loads in that really. A bit of both. Both of them kind of having a tussle with each other as Coyote's ball is in and it's headed on towards goal. Areola can only punch. And it's going to be dealt with here by Paquetá as Souček's gone down in the area. Referee should be stopping play here and he will. Yeah, blood coming from Souček's face. Definitely going to keep alluding to Keith Andrews in his mantra of chaos. That's certainly what those long throw-ins cause, and it's caused Souček to get a bloody eye. Or nose. Can't quite see what it's caused yet, what damage it has done to Thomas Souček, who had a bit of an international break to forget, really. His Czech Republic team lost 2-1 against the Faroe Islands, who are ranked 136th. As the ball went in, let's have a look. He was the one closest to the goalkeeper, and Areola's almost kind of punched Souček's head into the back of Ouattara's head, which has caused his eye to start bleeding. So a bit self-inflicted from West Ham in terms of their own player taking each other out. And on the bench, on one of the back rows, is Nicholas Fulkrug, who is out injured. Picked up the injury on international break with Germany, unfortunately. So they don't have an out-and-out number 9 on the pitch tonight so far, West Ham. Opted to keep Callum Wilson on the bench. And with Paquetá, Somerville and Bowen, it's very much a free-for-all in that front three. All three of them interchanging positions and just try to find pockets of space where they're available. Still being treated here, Thomas Souček. The overall head-to-head between these two is in West Ham's favour. They've won 24. Brentford have won 21 with 12 draws. But like I say, in the Premier League, it's been all Brentford. They've won 6 of the 8 meetings. 3 at home, 3 away. But they have only won 1 of their last 3 against West Ham between February of 2024 and 2025. And I've just seen a tweet here from the Premier League Match Centre. Due to impact of today's global AWS outage, this evening's match will be without the use of semi-automated offside technology. If required, the VAR will use virtual offside lines as in previous seasons to determine an offside decision. If it becomes available, the semi-automated offside during the game, it will be implemented when appropriate. Interesting to know. So if there is any offside calls for VAR, the lines will be back out this time, which have caused and sparked a lot of debate in previous seasons, as of course they didn't make that change to the semi-automated offsides instead, what's been used in the Champions League and European games. So back underway, and it's Brentford to win a free kick. Got a bit physical there. The ball was bouncing around. Brentford free kick on the right hand side, about 25 yards out, but it is on the far side, so no real angle for a shot. So checks back on, which is needed when they're about to defend a free kick, which will mean a ball is going into the box. Less than 25 played, still goalless at the London Stadium. Jordan Henderson stood over it alongside Mikkel Damsgaard. Henderson to take, ball goes in, Collins heads on and over the bar it goes. About 12 yards out, he won the header there, Collins. Never really able to guide it on target. Not scored yet this season. Nathan Collins scored twice last season in the Premier League, both at home to Wolves and Newcastle, in victories as well. As we're back underway, and it's Kilman having to defend against Igor Thiago here, and he can't quite keep the ball away from the Brazilian, who's been forced out wide. Can get a cross in towards the far post, where Ouattara will have to chase it down, as it was just slightly overhit from the striker. Yarmouk back out wide now to Coyote, the right back. Finds Ouattara inside to Damsgaard, returns it to Coyote, then first time pass in behind for Ouattara, who takes on Fernandez, works the cross into the box, and it has to be headed away by Souček. Corner for Brentford. Both teams playing pretty attractive football so far in the opening 25 minutes. Some first time passing and some nice off the ball movement at times. It's good to see. It's going to be an outswinger from Damsgaard to the near post. It's missed by two Brentford players and then they're cleared by Bowen. Got away with that one, West Ham. They're going to restart Brentford on the halfway line with Coyote. Goes forward to Damsgaard, who then returns it to Coyote. Across to the number 6, Jordan Henderson. People thought he was going to join his boyhood club Sunderland in the summer, as they were newly promoted to the Premier League, but opted against that and joined Brentford instead. Making his 439th Premier League appearance, of course, won the title back in 2020. Got a Champions League to his name in 2019. Very underrated player. Jordan Henderson played under Roy Keane twice, whilst at Sunderland, and of course 19 under Gerard Alatifak, as Aya, the left back, in a left wing position, one-on-one with Scarles, goes back towards Ouattara, short ball, so tackled by Scarles. Now Bowen in right back position to help out defend, clips it forward towards Paquetá, loses out to the head of Vandenberg, headed on once more by Damsgaard, then headed inside by Ouattara, laid off by Thiago to Yarmouk, and then volleyed away in the box by Todibo, as they look for Sharda. Collins helping it back forward in behind down the left for Brentford. Damsgaard tries to control, can't quite do so. Throwing in a right back position for West Ham United, who haven't won at home since the end of February of this year. The last time they won at home was a 2-0 win against Leicester. So they are now 8 without a win at home, West Ham United, which is a rather worrying stat. They have lost 7 of their last 11 home games in the Premier League. Under Nuno Espirito Santo, they'll want to try and make this place a fortress, make it as difficult as it can be for opposition teams, as Somerville's been set away by Fernandez, running through the centre of the pitch. He keeps going into the box as he trips. The referee waves it away. West Ham fans are adamant Andy Madley says no. And now Brentford can go the other way. Damsgaard sent out wide by Henderson. On this right wing position goes forward to Ouattara. West Ham slightly stretched. Damsgaard making the overlapping run. Ouattara goes on his own and his shot deflects. And it goes out for a a corner kick on this near side for Brentford. Somerville just kept galloping forward, staying away from Yarmulke until he got in the box and a bit of a tangle of legs. Didn't look like a free kick or a foul or a penalty to me. It is just inside the box. No, he's looking for that Somerville. Not a chance. Just tries to get across Yarmulke and almost trying to ignite contact. Not a penalty for me. So it will be a corner just before the half-an-hour mark for Brentford. In-swinger from Damsgaard into the centre of the box. It's a flicked header away by Kilman. Throwing on the opposite side for Brentford. They are yet to lose back-to-back games this season. The Bees. So avoiding defeat tonight will keep that positive run. Just kind of shows the mentality of this Brentford side. Not losing back-to-back games yet as they've gone short from the throw-in, but then return it to Coyote who gets the cross in and Thiago hits the bar. Coyote dinked it in. Ouattara headed onto the far post where Thiago was waiting but couldn't tap it home. Throw-in went short. Henderson played it into the path of Coyote, crossed it towards the 8-yard mark, headed on by Ouattara, and at the far post Thiago met it with the left boot but clipped the top of the crossbar. Oh, it's a sitter. It's an absolute sitter. Looks onside. Got away from Walker-Peters. He's quite simply got to score there, Igor Thiago. That would have been his 5th goal of the season already in the Premier League. But they've lost out here, West Ham in a dangerous area. Thiago to make up for the previous miss. He's had his shot blocked. Will he have a second bite? Yes, he will. It's blocked by Fernandez. It's back to Thiago. Out wide right now to Coyote, who's put in loads of good crosses. He's allowed to do another one where Damsgaard heads on and it's brilliantly saved from Areola. And the ball rolls away for a corner. Last couple of minutes, it's been Brentford on top. And they should have scored at least once during these flurry of attacks. Keep allowing Coyote to have plenty of time to cross. And that time it went to Damsgaard, who won the header on Todibo, who's 6'3", and Damsgaard's only 5'11". Did look like the header was probably just going wide, but Areola wasn't to know. But Damsgaard again from this near side of a right-footed in-swinging cross, goes short to Henderson, returns it to Damsgaard, who goes to the far post, where the header's gone back towards Thiago, and it's hit the side netting via a deflection. Another corner for Brentford. They're getting closer. They are certainly scaring these West Ham supporters. Collins nodded it back and multiple deflections put that behind for another Brentford set piece. Can Brentford make the most of this spell of domination at the London Stadium? Just ticking over the 32nd minute. Delay in the taking of the corner, as it looks like Collins and Paquetá are just having a slight little tussle between themselves. Just a quick word from the referee, Andy Madley, 42 years of age, the referee. It's actually Paquetá and Aya. It's an outswinger from Damsgaard. Ouattara, the free header, and it's just gone wide. I think it's Bowen who's had to head behind. It's going to be another corner. Completely on his own there, Ouattara. Lost his man of Souček, who was blocked off by Collins. And he's headed it back across goal again. I think it was just going wide, but Bowen was not taking any risks. Great leap from Ouattara. Just could not guide it on target. It's close. Very close. Another ball in. Outswinger goes all the way through this time. No one met it. It's on this left side for Brentford with Yarmulke. Starting again on the halfway line with Coyote. Back out wide to Yarmulke. Coyote once more. Henderson in the centre circle. Collins, and then he goes all the way back here to Kelleher. He's going to go long. Full pink kit tonight for Kelleher. And it's headed in the air by Walker-Peters. Controlled by Ayer on the right wing. Played forward towards Sharda. Cleaned up by Kilman. Pretty poorly though. Cleared out of play. Throwing for Brentford. In the last 5 minutes, Brentford have had 8 shots compared to West Ham's 0. 3 on target. And Brentford have had 80% of the ball. Completely bombarding this West Ham goal in the last 5 or so minutes. It's number 4, Sepp van den Berg on the ball for Brentford. His brother Rav plays for Cologne in Germany. As Todibo gets there ahead of Ouattara as the ball was played forward for Brentford. And as he clears it, it clips off the Brentford winger. So it'll be a throw-in for West Ham. 10 minutes before half-time. Still 0-0 at the moment. In the last 10 seasons in the Premier League, West Ham have averaged a position of 12th. That includes some seasons where they have been scrapping towards the bottom, but then there's been some seasons where they've been aiming and fighting for the European spots. I feel like it's very rarely a nothing season for West Ham. It feels like they're fighting for something, if that's towards the top end or the bottom end. They finished 14th last season, and they actually finished 13 points behind Brentford in the end, as Brentford finished 10th. 9 points off European football in the end, the Bees. 10 points off Champions League. Newcastle, who finished in 5th. Long ball from Kelleher, headed on by Thiago, but straight to Walker-Peters. Now Irving in the centre circle. Back out wide left towards Fernandes. He waited for the ball to come to him. And it was an interception from Coyote, sliding the ball out. Throw in for West Ham just before the halfway line on that far side. Just the 1 goal so far under Nuno Espirito Santo. And that was by Jared Bowen for the equaliser at Everton. Souček down the left-hand side. Somerville will give chase. Coyote beats him to it. Been forced to go back to Kelleher. Kicks it up in the air, down the Brentford right, up towards halfway. Where Thiago glances on and Ouattara gets the touch. And he tries to beat Todibo. But the Frenchman comes across and kicks it out of play. Throw in for Brentford in the final third. So again, it means they can have another long throw-in into the 18-yard box. Feel like at some point one of these set pieces, if it's a throw-in or a corner or whatever it might be, is going to work. That long throw-in is headed away, but it's recycled back to Coyote, who tries to go on the inside of Paquetá, tackled fairly, drops to Somerville, plays it into the space for Jared Bowen, and the counter-attack is on. Bowen, he's only got Fernandes up there with him, and Yarmouk is able to tackle him. And Ouattara helps out and kicks it to Yarmouk. That is superbly defended by that 2 pairing of Yarmouk and Ouattara, 2 of the younger players who, of course, full of pace. But as soon as Bowen received the ball, you felt like something was about to happen. But they didn't allow that to formulate into anything in the end. Just the 1 win so far for West Ham in the Premier League, and that was away at Nottingham Forest against Nuno Espirito Santo when he was in charge. Long ball in behind. Sharda can't catch it. Goal kick West Ham. Yeah, no wins in their last 4 in the league for West Ham. Losing away to Arsenal, drawing away at Everton. But then losing 2 London derbies in a row to Crystal Palace and Spurs. They've actually lost all 3 of their home games so far this season. And they've all come against London opposition. Chelsea 5-1, Spurs 3-0 and Palace 2-1. Ariola's long ball headed forward by Ouattara, but then cut out by Irving, flicked on towards Bowen. Headed away by Van den Berg. Bit of head tennis going on. Eventually drops to Paquetá towards the halfway line on this near side, surrounded by Brentford bodies. And eventually loses it to Ayer, who kicks it off Souček, throwing for the away side. edging closer to the half-time whistle. Still goalless here at the London Stadium. It's actually going to be a free kick instead. I'm not sure what for. Henderson will play it forward. Ouattara flicks it in behind down the left-hand side for Ayer. Who's one-on-one with Scarles. Pokes it away from him. Corner kick. Not sure why that was a free kick. Must have missed something there. Well, Brentford made the most of it and have won themselves a corner. It was Henderson to Ouattara to Ayer and now a corner kick. 6 minutes to go of this first half. Still waiting for the first goal of the game. It's going to be an in-swinger from Mikkel Damsgaard with that right boot of his. Towards the far post. Free header and it's wide. Huge opportunity. West Ham are struggling to defend these corners. And Ouattara should have made it 1-0. At that far post, lost his man. Souček pushed forward. It was his man. His zone, as you might call it, with his zonal marking. He's kind of misjudged the flight of the ball, Souček. He's kind of gone forward a little bit and left that space in behind him where Ouattara darted in and headed wide from about 6 yards out. Huge opportunity. Should have been taken from Dango Ouattara, who's just got the 1 goal so far since joining the summer, and that was on his debut against Aston Villa in the 1-0 home win in game week 2. And he's got the ball here after a poor header from Irving, but he overhits his passing behind towards Igor Thiago. And West Ham can play from the back here with Todibo. Kyle Walker-Peters at left back, almost getting in the way of Irving, who tries to twist and turn and loses out to Igor Thiago in the end. Damsgaard in behind down the right side for Yarmouk. Will he get there? No, he won't. Kyle Walker-Peters slides in. And it is a throw-in for Brentford right next to the corner flag. Interesting starting 11. Full stop from Nuno Espirito Santo. He made 5 changes from the team that lost away at Arsenal. Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Diouf, Magassa and Füllkrug all dropped. Obviously Füllkrug was forced with an injury at international level. But just some of the ones they've started. Kyle Walker-Peters, Ollie Scarles, Andy Irving. More fringe players getting the nod. Long throw-in headed in to the box and then drops to the edge of the area. Yarmouk completely miskicks it, but it actually ends up being a nice bit of control. Then recycles it into the box. Scarles wins the first header. Ayer then controls. Paquetá tries to put some pressure on, but Ayer keeps it and crosses off the full-back, and that will be another Brentford corner. Both teams have had a handful of corners. I think this is Brentford's 7th compared to West Ham, who have had 4 so far. Gone short to Henderson. Back through for Damsgaard, who's one-on-one with Bowen. Can he work the cross? He can. And the header's not been able to go towards goal. I think it was a defensive action in the end, and it was needed. Brentford still have it with Coyote in front of the centre circle. Working his way out wide right, laying it off for Damsgaard, who's going to try and put it back towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Flicked on by Collins and eventually thumped away by Kilman. And Henderson needs to deal with this bouncing ball. Heads it back towards his goalkeeper, Kelleher, a previous teammate of his. And he gets enough power on it to send it to the Irishman. And Brentford still have it. Really exciting game. And it's been Brentford on top. And Henderson sending it over the top towards Sharda. Kilman can't deal with it. Sharda lays it off. Thiago! Big save from Areola, but he can't stop it from going in. They have found a striker who can score goals once again. And he goes by the name of Igor Thiago. Sprints over to the head coach, Keith Andrews, who has given him this freedom to score goals on a consistent basis in the Premier League. It's his 5th for the campaign. And it starts with Yarmouk, was the one who actually dinked it over the top. Sharda got the better of Kilman. He then laid it off to Thiago, and about 10 yards out, he's had a shot towards goal, and Areola's got a big hand to it, but he hasn't stopped it rolling towards goal, and it just trickles beyond that white line and into the back of the net, into the far corner. Got a right hand to it, but it just spun inside the post and into the back of the net. It's a well-deserved goal for Brentford as they take the lead at the London Stadium. It's West Ham 0, Brentford 1. You thought Areola had made the heroic save which was needed. But despite the contact he got on it with his right hand, it just wasn't enough to keep it from spinning into the back of the net. Yarmouk, the one getting the West Ham defence running back towards their own goal, and then Sharda being the nuisance to keep the ball away from Kilman, then laying it off to Igor Thiago, who was able to get that ball into the back of the net. It's great to see for the Brazilian. Spent pretty much all of last season injured. He was out from August to November, then December to May. He only made 8 Premier League appearances, didn't score a goal, and only started once at the start of December. Really starting to show why Brentford signed him from Club Brugge for £30 million in the August of 2024. Henderson collided with by Paquetá, holding the back of his head. Free kick for Brentford. Bit of frustration there from Lucas Paquetá. Slow one for Jordan Henderson. 6 minutes added on at the end of this first half. The first meeting between these two was 127 years ago, back in 1898, and it was a West Ham win. They won 3-1. So they'll be looking to try and replicate that scoreline tonight if possible. As there does seem a bit of a dejected sort of, helpless feel around the ground. As Nuno Espirito Santo can only watch on at the moment, as his side did make a positive start, but once Brentford had grown into the game, it had been all the bees. As from that free kick, they've got it in the box, but West Ham have quickly got it out of it. As Bowen tries to set his team away, he's been tripped, though, by Van den Berg. I think the cards will stay in the pocket of Andy Madley. As they've played quickly, Bowen can't get away from Ayer, but the loose ball drops to Irving. Into the middle now to Paquetá. Try to find Bowen, cut out by Sharda. Ayer in towards Sharda. Dealt with by Scarles as he finds Todibo, but he wins the free kick because his shirt was getting pulled. We've played a minute and a half of the 6 added on. Still 4.5 left to play. Todibo to Soucek, back to goal, so has to go back to Todibo, who's now been closed down by Igor Thiago. Kilman, long ball, high ball, down the left-hand side towards Somerville. Header won by Collins, loose ball picked up by Henderson. Headed away though by Soucek, volleyed by Henderson. Headed away by Todibo, but only as far as Yarmouk, who will chase down this ball forward. But it'll be Fernandez to get there first. But the whistle's gone, I think, for a foul. And there'll be a West Ham free kick, whatever Andy Madley's given it for. But yeah, Brentford won the first 5 Premier League meetings on the bounce against West Ham. Within that 5 wins in a row in the Premier League, they were beaten by West Ham in the FA Cup in the 3rd round in January 2023. Former Brentford player Ben Rama got the only goal that game with 11 minutes to play. Paquetá down the right side again for Bowen, who's going to run at Christopher Ayer. Go on the outside of the full back. He slides in and wins the ball brilliantly. And will clip it down the left channel. Looking for Igor Thiago. Will not quite get there. Well defended by Jean-Claire Todibo. And it's West Ham to build from the back. 3 minutes of added on time left to play. Irving on the far side. Walker Peters making a run off the ball. Irving will go for the cross instead. Goes all the way through to the right wing position to Paquetá. Plays it back into Scarles. It's now Bowen on the edge of the box. Cross goes in. Headed away by Van den Berg. Played to his left by Todibo to find Kilman. Now Todibo again in the centre circle. Working it to the right side to Scarles. Forward to Paquetá. Facing up here with Sharda. Plays a ball through towards Irving. Cut out by Henderson. Throwing next to the corner flag for West Ham. Throw-in taken. It's now with Somerville, who can drive towards the box, plays it to Bowen, tries the return, deflects off Thiago to Fernandes. Paquetá to Fernandes, finds the runner Scarles, wants to get onto that stronger left foot, but that's been read by Christopher Ayer. And it can be cleared by Sharda. Do find it confused now. They've got a left back at right back and a right back at left back, West Ham. If they had a natural right footer there, they probably would have got a cross into the box. Paquetá down the right flank, isolated and stopped in his tracks by Ayer. He tries to bully it forward, but instead kicked forward by Scarles. Souček to Bowen. Early strike, and it's well met by Kelleher. Down low to his right. Certainly going into the bottom left corner, that. Needed to be saved. Bit scrappy on the West Ham right, but they worked it down the middle to Bowen, who eventually got the shot towards that far corner. And he had Kelleher scrambling. And the former Liverpool goalkeeper was equal to it. As Brentford will want to reserve this lead before the break. Irving with the corner, outswinger, header won by Collins, drops all as far as Somerville, who from 25 yards goes for the shot. Deflects off Yarmuluk, and it will roll for another corner. Brentford certainly deserve their half-time lead, but they've got some more defending to do to keep it. Somerville again with the short corner, crosses in and it goes all the way through. For a goal kick for Brentford. They'll take that with just over 30 seconds left of the half. Brentford, of course, also got League Cup quests to continue. At the back end of this month, they've got Grimsby away in the last 16, a massive chance to get into the quarter-final stage. But of course, Grimsby are no easy opposition for some, beating Manchester United and Sheffield Wednesday on their way to that last 16 tie. As the goal kick's taken, headed back forward by Souček, thumped by Coyote towards Thiago, who's battling with Kilman. Todibo helps out, heads it into the midfield, and then helped up into the sky by Scarles. Headed down by Ayer to Collins, who again just gets it away up towards Thiago. Header won by Todibo. Finds Damsgaard, slips it through. Igor Thiago with a delicious dink beyond Areola. And he doubles Brentford's lead with a brace. 6 in 8 now for the Brazilian, who is putting his mark on the Premier League. Worst time to concede for West Ham United. Right before that half-time whistle. Poor goal to concede. Clearance up in the air by Collins. There's a question. Potentially Thiago may have been offside as the ball was played. But as Todibo won the header, it fell straight to Damsgaard, who had too much time on the ball as he picked it up well inside the West Ham half. Slips it in between Kilman and Todibo, straight through for Thiago, who had the composure to calm himself, set himself, dink Areola, and put the ball in the back of the net. Like I say, they might not be the semi-automated system because that was down, and they said they'll use it if they're able to get the power back into it to use it again, but if not, we will have the drawn lines. It's close. Has Igor Thiago got himself back on side? It's Thiago's and Todibo's right leg, which are both kind of trailing backwards. So this will be close. You can't really tell from this angle. I don't want to call it early because I really don't know. It's close. Oh, but he's been given as offside. Lifeline for West Ham United. The lines have been drawn. And as Collins was clearing the ball back forward, Igor Thiago was coming back from an offside position, and right before the break, Brentford's second goal has been disallowed. Not to be for Igor Thiago, who would have scored his 6th goal in his 8th Premier League game. But he is the one who's got Brentford in the lead, and that's how it will be going into half-time. It will remain West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Igor Thiago second, ruled out for offside. So the free kick's been taken from the offside call, and the referee Andy Madley blows for half-time. Complete domination from Brentford and Keith Andrews. They certainly deserve their 1-goal lead. West Ham have had 3 shots compared to Brentford's 12, with just 1 on target from the Hammers and 5 on target from the Bees. And Keith Andrews' side are also edging the possession by 40% to 60%. The goal scored from the Brazilian Igor Thiago, who's already got 4 in 7 before today in the Premier League. Now he's got 5 in 8, 6 in 9 in all competitions, as he scored off the bench in the League Cup against Bournemouth. It was a bright start for West Ham in the opening 5 minutes of the game, winning plenty of corners and really putting this Brentford defence under the cosh. But for the majority of the first half, Brentford have been absolutely fantastic, calm on the ball, looking for those passes in behind, using the speed they've got against West Ham's slower defence. They got their goal right before half-time in the 43rd minute through Igor Thiago. There was a ball played over the top by Yarmouk into Sharda. He beat Kilman to it in the box. He squared it across to his left to Igor Thiago, whom around 10 yards out had a shot towards goal. Ariel got a strong right hand to it, but the ball carried on travelling towards goal. It kind of had a bit of spin on it after the save from Areola, and that spin went just inside the post and into the back of the net to give Brentford their 1-goal lead. It was doubled right before the half-time whistle, as we had 6 minutes added on. And again, it was Igor Thiago, the man who had the ball in the back of the net. It was a clearance from Collins. Todibo headed away. All as far as Damsgaard, who slotted it through for Igor Thiago, who dinked it over Areola. But as Collins originally cleared the ball, Igor Thiago was returning from an offside position, and he was the one who challenged Todibo for the ball. So the VAR checked it, saw that he was offside, and disallowed the goal, very fortunately for West Ham. So after the first half at the London Stadium, it is West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Exciting game of football, and Brentford have been the team on top, very much deserve their 1-0 lead and probably deserve the second goal, but that was disallowed for offside. I'm positive Nuno Espirito Santo is going to make changes at half-time. We'll just have to see what those changes are. But I'm going to go for a quick break during these 15 minutes. So in around 15 minutes' time, make sure you come back, as we'll have second half live commentary of this game. But at the moment at half-time, it's West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Hello, we are back for the second half. A very rushed intro back as we are underway. West Ham kicking right to left, Brentford left to right, big ball forward from West Ham, straight into the gloves of Kevin Kelleher. And it's Brentford in possession. They have made a change, West Ham. Just the one, though, I think, as a ball's been played in behind towards Sharda, and there's one of the substitutes. Aaron Wan-Bissaka sliding in. 3 changes have been made. Ollie Scarles, Mateus Fernandes and Kyle Walker-Peters off for Diouf, Mavropanos and Wan-Bissaka. So 2 defenders and a midfielder off for 3 defenders. So it looks like they're going to go for a 3 at the back, which is interesting because West Ham have played a 4 at the back in their last 5 Premier League games. And when they've played with a 5 in the Premier League, which was their first 2 games, they lost 8-1 in aggregate to Sunderland and Chelsea. So they are reverting back to the 5, it seems. So it's going to be Diouf left wing back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka right wing back, with 3 centre backs of Todibo, Kilman and Mavropanos, and then 2 in midfield of Souček and Irving, and then 3 up front of Paquetá, Somerville and Bowen. So there has been a shift, but it's a Brentford corner early on. Outswinger from Damsgaard. It's headed on by Thiago, but the wrong way. And that'll be a throw-in on the opposite side for West Ham. Just couldn't quite get full contact on it. Just that kind of glanced it out for a throw-in there, Thiago. Obviously unintentionally. As it's now West Ham on the ball with Areola, the goalkeeper. First time clearance. Up in the air it goes. Glanced on by Paquetá, but as far as Collins on halfway, who sends it back forward. It's a high ball towards Thiago. Bounces beyond him and Kilman and dealt with by Mavropanos. It's now Todibo into Wan-Bissaka. Kind of a shock he didn't start. Alongside Diouf at left back. Long ball forward. Headed away by Ayer on halfway. Headed back forward by Wan-Bissaka. Glanced on by Bowen. Paquetá tries to return it to Bowen. But it's cut out by Brentford. Ball out. Throwing for the away side. Last touch off Wan-Bissaka. So no attacking changes for West Ham, but change in personnel. With going at that 3 at the back. Maybe to try and combat those balls in behind from Brentford, because they keep putting it up high for West Ham defenders to deal with, and they're clearly not liking it. Despite having the height, they don't exactly have the pace. So if those long balls going behind them, the West Ham defenders are having trouble dealing with them, as Bowen can't quite link up with Paquetá, and no foul's been given as the Brazilian was pushed off the ball. Ayer, from afar, fancied the shot, which deflects and rolls out. Does it? No, it doesn't. Diouf doesn't keep it in. Thought he did. He hasn't. Throwing next to the corner flag on this near side for Brentford. Went for the spectacular there, Christopher Ayer, the Norwegian, who made his 100th Brentford appearance last time out against Manchester City. This is just his second start in the league this season. So 2 in a row for the 6'6" giant. Has started the last 5 in the Premier League, though, against West Ham. Christopher Ayer, as Coyote is going to put a long throw-in into the box towards the 6-yard area, headed up into the sky, still needs to be dealt with. Paquetá heads away. Put back in by Yarmouk. Bounces through towards Areola, who will deal with it. And he'll roll it to Diouf, the left wing back, into Irving, then forward to Somerville, first time pass. Now Somerville will drive into the Brentford half, being chased down by Coyote in a central area, needs to release it, and he goes for the shot instead. Always seemed off balance there, Somerville, so it went high and wide, and no danger in the end for Kevin Kelleher, the Cork-born goalkeeper, who's looking for his 10th Premier League clean sheet of his career tonight. Kelleher, who's making his 33rd Premier League appearance, of course, number 2 to Alisson for so long. But Somerville will want to try and find his Leeds United form if possible. The Dutchman, who won Championship Player of the Season in the 23-24 season. That was in fact the season when Leeds didn't go up. They were beaten in the playoffs, in the playoff final by Russell Martin's Southampton. Never scored or won in his previous 2 against Brentford. Crescencio Somerville. Just under 5 minutes into the second half. Coyote with a long throwing up towards Ouattara. Goes down under contact, but not strong enough for a foul. West Ham ball now with Areola. Playing it to the right-hand side here to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Into the middle to Souček, who returns it to Wan-Bissaka. It's Wan-Bissaka, simple 1-2, but it's effective. Wan-Bissaka towards the final third now. Touches it out wide to Bowen. Into Wan-Bissaka again. Into the box to Irving, who tries to lay it off to Wan-Bissaka, who slides in to get the cross in. It's overhit. It will fall through to the other side now to Diouf, who is bullied off the ball by Ouattara, and that's a throw-in for Brentford. Well won there by the Burkina Faso international. Didn't score or assist during the international break. Dango Ouattara, who has never scored or won himself in his previous 4 against West Ham United. Coyote lifting it over the head of Somerville, and loads of time now for Yarmouk, who's going to go for a diagonal switch towards Sharda, and he finds him brilliantly. Beautiful chested touch. Sharda going back here into Aya, slowing the game down slightly. Into Sharda once more, still in the final third, slowing it down Brentford. Damsgaard playing a low ball to the edge of the box to Ouattara, who gets a touch away from Diouf, but Areola's come out to gather. Confident goalkeeping from the Frenchman, who was part of that France World Cup squad in 2018, who won the tournament. Areola, first time clearance away. Up towards Bowen, header won by Vandenberg. Headed backwards by Henderson to Vandenberg. And there's a foul actually on the first aerial duel between Bowen and the Dutch centre-back, so it'll be Brentford's ball. It's now with Kelleher. Trying a diagonal ball out towards the right-hand side towards Ouattara. Heads it on towards Thiago. Kilman deals with it. Plays a low ball forward to Paquetá. Flags days down for now. Somerville. Irving going for the switch towards Wan-Bissaka. Finds him. Brought down calmly by the former Manchester United fullback. Bowen. 7 minutes into the second half. It's still 1-0 to Brentford. Wan-Bissaka twisting and turning to create space away from Aya. Bowen, Somerville, midway inside the Brentford half in a central area. Goes to his left to Kilman, who will cross. Header won though by Vandenberg. Second ball drops to Damsgaard, who will get it through the gap here into Sharda. To Debo with a slight tackle, but completely misses it. And Sharda's away. And Brentford are away. Sharda going for the early ball towards Thiago. He should have held on to it, because Damsgaard was galloping away down the Brentford left. Sharda did so well to get there ahead of Todibo. And Damsgaard was on the overlap, but Sharda tried to go early. Wrong decision from the former German international. His last appearance for Germany was back in October of last year. Todibo down the right side for Souček. Now on to Bowen, who's coming back from an offside position. Free kick for Brentford. Frustrated there. Jared Bowen, who started off at the Hereford Academy. Called up and did get on the pitch for England during the last international break. Nathan Collins, who's not just Brentford captain, now he's also the Ireland captain. Played every minute in the international break for Ireland against Portugal and Armenia, as they've given it away there, Aya, to Irving. It's now Paquetá to Somerville, just inside the box. Tries to get away from Coyote. The Italian can't clear. Drops to Souček, who gets the shot off. It's well blocked by Vandenberg and caught by Kelleher. An almost chance for Brentford. He throws it out to Damsgaard on the halfway line. Forward into Sharda, who's running one-on-one with Todibo, forcing the French centre-back backwards, and then plays the overlap of Damsgaard in the box. Cuts it across, and it's put behind by Kilman. Could have gone anywhere. He was not sure where that was going, Max Kilman. Damsgaard on the overlap. This time Sharda found him and used him. Put a low ball towards Igor Thiago, who went beyond Areola, and touched behind by Kilman. Another corner for Brentford. They've had loads of these, coming up to double figures. In swing from Damsgaard in the 6-yard box towards the back post. Vital touch from Souček. It's going to be a throw-in next to the opposite corner flag. But it's going to go straight back in the box again, because we know Michael Coyote's got that long throw in his locker. In it goes from the Italian. Huge throw. Header one up in the air, caught by Areola. Can West Ham try and break? Areola wants to release it. Nothing's on. And he rolls it instead into the path of Kilman, the left centre-back. Forward to Paquetá, who's allowed to turn and face forward. Completes a 1-2 with Somerville, but then can't quite get it back to the Dutchman. Throwing for West Ham. Pass intercepted in the end. It's now the number 3, Kilman, on the ball. His last goal that he scored was in that 4-3 home defeat for Wolves against Manchester United back in February 2024. You might remember that late Kobbie Mainoo winner. So he's yet to score for West Ham. As Brentford have won it back in their own half. Coyote away from Somerville and playing it to his left to Henderson. Forward to Damsgaard, takes it beyond the halfway line. No one closing him down at the moment, and we know Damsgaard can make things happen, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka was quick to get across, and he got a slide tackle in. And the hammers can break. Somerville, heavy touch, and Yarmouk wins it back and takes it forward. He's been brilliant so far this season. Bit of a breakout year for the Ukrainian Yegor Yarmouk, and Damsgaard wins the free kick because he's been pulled back by Wan-Bissaka. Something about this Brentford side is exciting. They've got that freedom. You can see that continuity. And I think that's what they were really aiming and striding for with appointing Keith Andrews as head coach. Of course, formerly of staff of Thomas Frank, the set piece coach last season. But for Keith Andrews, he's worked as an assistant and a coach for Carl Robinson, who's currently at Salford. Stephen Kenny, who was formerly of Ireland, worked under Chris Wilder as well at Sheffield United, and of course Thomas Frank. So he's worked under plenty of really experienced coaches during his time as a coach himself, Keith Andrews. As Yarmouk almost knees it forward, Irving tries to deal with it, but he's been tackled from behind by Thiago. It's now with Vandenberg, just on the edge of his own 18-yard box. Finds Keller in the 18-yard box. Finds Collins to his right, his international teammate. Curling it down the right-hand side towards Ouattara. He'll let it bounce, and then it's played forward by Kilman. Diouf heads it inside to Irving, then forward to Bowen on the left wing. Just plays it behind Diouf. And it will be a throw-in for Brentford midway inside their own half on this near side. Won 7 games away from home last season in the league, Brentford, and all 7 wins came in their last 10 on their travels. They started really slowly away from home in the league. They lost their first 5 away games last season against Liverpool, City, Spurs, United and Fulham, so don't get me wrong, quite difficult away journeys, but still lost all their first 5. And their first away win came on the 4th of January when they beat Southampton 5-0. So if they can try and flip that away form around, in terms of the first half of the season anyway, because the second half of the season they won 7 from 10 away games. Just over half an hour to go. Still 1-0 to Brentford. Header away from Vandenberg. Ouattara turns away from Irving. And away from Mavropanos. It's now Igor Thiago finding Henderson. Everything to his right now for Damsgaard. Henderson does get on the overlap. Damsgaard will cross it himself instead. Headed away by Mavropanos, all as far as Vandenberg. Damsgaard once more, running at Wan-Bissaka. In the corner of the box, slipping it through for Ayer, who dinks it to the far post, and it's had to be headed behind by Diouf. Every time they go forward, Brentford look like they can put a meaningful attempt towards goal. Just doesn't seem like there's any life in this West Ham side, and I'm guessing that's kind of transpiring from the crowd. Damsgaard with the corner, free header from Van den Berg, and he knows that's a big opportunity. Not scored yet since joining Brentford last season. Sepp Van den Berg joining from Liverpool for £25 million, and again got in a zone where he was free, about 6 yards out, and glanced it right towards the corner flag. West Ham certainly looks that way, as they're going to make their 4th change of the game. Andy Irving making his first home start of his West Ham career despite joining over 2 years ago. And he'll be replaced by Callum Marshall, 20-year-old Northern Irish striker. So it's a midfielder off for a striker. Just his second first-team appearance of the season for Callum Marshall. His last was against Arsenal in the last league game. Came on at a very similar time, actually. Came on in the 61st minute in that game, and so he has in this one as well. Coyote with a short throw into Ouattara. Off Diouf, but straight to Yarmouk, who feeds it back to Coyote, who cuts inside. Weaker left foot. Still goes for the cross, and the header slams the bar. Shard so close. West Ham survive. They need to get rid. Diouf gets it away. Looking towards Marshall, who's battling with Van den Berg. Cleared away in the end by Collins. Always finds Paquetá, who chests it down but can't keep the possession ticking. And Henderson now takes over, slipping it through for Sharda. Then on once more to Ouattara, who's battling with Todibo, and he loses out in the end. And West Ham will try and flip defence to attack as quickly as possible. So close for Brentford there with Kevin Sharda, who's looking for his second league goal this season. Not scored since their home draw against Chelsea. Here's Somerville going on the outside of Coyote in the box. Onto his right foot. Crossing it in, it's a header away from Collins. Looks for Sojcik on the edge of the box. Can't flick it to a teammate. It's been forced back to Kelleher from Collins. And Kelleher will clear. Up towards Damsgaard. It bounces through for Kilman, who returns it to Areola. And it's still 1-0 to Brentford. I need one of them to score this half, though, so I can hit my okay. Wan-Bissaka. Looking back out wide right, and he does find Sojcik, who's took up a right wing position here. Tries to play the ball through to Bowen, who kind of started the run then stopped it. And now Brentford can clear with Van den Berg. Throwing, is it for West Ham? No, it's been going to be kept in. Stays in with the curl on the ball. Wan-Bissaka back to Todibo. It's now on the halfway line with Mavropanos, who played in Greece's 2 losses over the international break to Scotland and Denmark. This is his 75th West Ham appearance as Paquetá plays it behind Somerville, and it will roll out for a Brentford goal kick. Coyote looking for another assist with that left-footed cross, and Sharda about 7 yards out has got to score. Somehow hits the crossbar. Coyote being so dangerous from that Brentford right. So unfortunate for Kevin Sharda, who's looking for his 15th career Premier League goal. A bit of battling in the centre circle, and West Ham come out on top. Paquetá dinking it over the top towards Bowen. Miscued clearance from Van den Berg. And it's a throw in the final third for West Ham on this near side. Taken quickly to Paquetá. You're going to put a right-footed floating cross in, and it's easily caught by Caoimhín Kelleher, who's been the Ireland #1 since November 2023. Because originally it was Kelleher and Bazunu kind of battling for that #1 shirt. Kelleher has made it his own. Aya from left back. Bit of time to bring the ball forward. Playing it into the middle to Damsgaard, and on once more to Yarmouk in the centre circle. Out of the centre circle and into the West Ham half. Yarmouk finds Coyote, who's been given too much time again. His crosses have been dangerous. This one can be caught this time by Areola, who quickly rolls it out to Paquetá. Now Bowen on the far side. Tries to turn forward, but has to go back instead to Wan-Bissaka. It's now Areola, who just has to get rid Up towards Marshall. Header won by Henderson. As far as Mavropanos, who nods it down to Souček. It's now Kilman into Diouf. Into the space, but it's overhit. And it's a throw-in for Brentford. 25 left to play, plus added on time. Not much really has changed for West Ham since changing to the back five at half-time. Still very much Brentford, who look and seem the better side. Collins being closed down by Paquetá, but can work it to Coyote. Diouf late on the press, so Coyote can play it to Damsgaard, and the midfield is completely open. Damsgaard in behind for Thiago, might be offside, doesn't finish it. Then the offside flag goes up. Saved by Areola, did look offside that time. Igor Thiago, a bit more clearer, that call for the linesman. Completely beat the press there. Souček and Paquetá nowhere to be seen, and yeah, Igor Thiago just going a bit early. Getting ahead of Mavropanos. Ball in behind towards Marshall. Too much power on it. Straight through to the gloves of Kelleher. Brought it forward. Yarmouk turns away from Souček, sits him down completely. Yarmouk then brought to the ground by Somerville, and that'll be a free kick for Brentford. Huge frustration from Crescencio Somerville, who will go in the referee's book. Needs to be careful with this throwing up the arms in the air and the kicking in the air. Clearly not happy, Somerville, because Brentford are just being a lot better than this West Ham side. West Ham are looking like they're playing, firstly, under a manager that they've not worked under for a while, for a very long time, and also a team that are just lacking confidence. So, a quarter of the game to go. About 30 so yards out towards the right-hand side. So, again, it's just going to be a two-man West Ham wall. A second, I feel, would kill the game. Henderson stood over it. Crosses towards the far post, towards Igor Thiago. It's bouncing around in the area, kicked up in the air by Kilman. Headed on by Paquetá, up towards Marshall, who loses that to Yarmouk. Igor Thiago with the chest, kicked away by Mavropanos, touched down by Yarmouk. Tackle from Marshall. And in the end, the loose ball drops to Yarmouk. And it's now Brentford on the ball with Coyote. He had to make a change, Brentford, but you can kind of understand why. They're really in the flow of the game, and you don't want to interrupt that with a change, but you also do need to do it at some point because, you know, they need fresh legs. Jordan Henderson demanding so much, dictating that midfield. Still got it in this league at the age of 35. Making his 7th start in a row in the Premier League, Jordan Henderson, after coming off the bench in the first game against Forest. Kilman. Clipping out to the left to Diouf. Being closed down by Ouattara. Down the line it goes over Somerville, who will get there ahead of Coyote. Somerville brought to the ground. I think that's a free kick that's been given. Just a bit too physical there on Somerville. Coyote. Does look like a bit of a unit, Michael Coyote. Definitely towards the 6-foot mark. For £15 million, it looks like a bit of a steal. I know he was at Brentford at the second half of last season, but bought in permanently in the summer. "20 minutes to go. Still, somehow, West Ham are in the game. They're only one goal behind. Somerville from the left-hand side crosses, and it's a catch for Kelleher. And he throws it quickly, no messing around. Sharda on the left-hand side. Be closed down by Todibo. Touches aren't great from Sharda, and he's been tackled by Wan-Bissaka. Let himself down really there, Kevin Sharda. It's now Wan-Bissaka who's being pestered by Yarmouk, who then gives away the free kick. West Ham ball. And we're going to get some substitutions. And it's going to be West Ham's final change. Thomas Souček, who's had to do a lot of running in that midfield, also been caught with a bloody eye. He's now one appearance off 200 in the Premier League. Souček, that was appearance number 199 for him. So there will be no Callum Wilson for West Ham tonight. They made all 5 changes. Thomas Souček off for Guido Rodriguez, the Argentine who was brought in on a free in August 2024 from Real Betis. He was in the World Cup and Copa America squads for Argentina in their 2 most recent wins. 31 years old, yet to score for his club. It's his first minutes in the last 6. He'd only made 2 appearances so far this season, in the first game against Sunderland away and then also against Wolves in the League Cup. So first time back on the pitch for Rodriguez for a couple of months. Like I say, Brentford should be out of sight, but it's still just a goal. Paquetá to Somerville in the central area, about 22 yards out, finds Bowen in the area, right-footed, and he's always off balance and going to miss. Slams the ground in frustration. Just needed to set himself there, Bowen. Rush the chance. Paquetá making things happen with a bit of skill, with a nice turn. And then Somerville, right weight of pass to find Bowen, but again, just was always falling over. Didn't really set himself in the 18-yard box. Chance that for the captain. Scored 13 goals in the league last season, Bowen. 4 in his last 4, 6 in his last 8. That came along with 8 assists as well. Yarmouk, massive diag in behind, looking for Igor Thiago, but there's too much on it from the Ukrainian into the hands of Areola, who quickly rolls out to Kilman. Never scored in his previous 10 against Brentford, Max Kilman. Somerville, Diouf tries to touch it back down the line for Somerville, but Coyote will get there first. It returns it to the goalkeeper of Kelleher. First time clearance up the pitch. 18 left to play. Mavropanos wins the header on Thiago. Controlled though by Collins into Henderson. Back to Collins. Then out wide right here to Damsgaard. Still no subs used by Keith Andrews as of yet. Their next game is in 5 days' time against Liverpool away. So they'll need to recharge for that as quickly as possible. Henderson shifting it to the left centre half of Vandenberg. Ayer making his way around Wan-Bissaka. Sold himself pretty easily there, which is unusual for Wan-Bissaka. Has recovered and put him under pressure, but give away a foul after pulling the shirt. Ayer being told by Henderson he just needs to speed it up, as we are going to get a couple of Brentford changes now. Looks like it's going to be Vitali, Yarnelt and Keane Lewis Potter. We're back playing again. Collins, long ball forward and in behind, but no one really making a run for it there for Brentford. Not the best of balls played. And it's now with Areola, who spent 16 years coming through at PSG. A couple of loan spells within that. Wan-Bissaka kicks it off Sharda, throwing for West Ham. He wants to take it quickly. Just before the halfway line, throws it into the middle to Paquetá, then gets it into Wan-Bissaka. Wanting to switch it, finds Somerville, who gets away from Ouattara on this left-hand side, about 25 yards off goal. Goes into the middle to Marshall. Tries to go back in towards Rodriguez, loses out. It's now with Damsgaard, Sharda. Yarmouk gets in front of Paquetá and the counter-attack is on. He's got Thiago to his left and he finds him. Mavropanos though gets across quickly and wins the throw-in. Kicks it off the Brazilian. Really well defended there by Konstantinos Mavropanos, who was brought on at half-time. And here come the 2 changes. The first one will see Mikkel Damsgaard be replaced by Vitali Yarnelt. Made his 200th Brentford appearance in the game against Manchester City, Yarnelt. Looking for his 10th career Premier League goal. Did suffer with a heel injury from April to September of this year. So did miss the first 3 league games out injured. And the second change will see Dango Ouattara, who's only started one of the last 4, and that was against United. And he'll be replaced by Keane Lewis Potter, who came off the bench against United and then didn't feature at all against Manchester City. So having to just be a bit of a substitute player at the moment. Lewis Potter, who will take up that right wing position. So like for like swap. Just a bit more of a defensive-minded midfielder in there now with Yarnell instead of Damsgaard. Less than 15 of the 90 to go. Nathan Collins on the ball at the back for Brentford. Coyote. Back into Collins in the defensive third. Finds Kelleher, being closed down by Marshall. Henderson to Kelleher. Gets rid with the left boot after pressure from Marshall. Flicked on by Sharda. Controlled with a chest to Thiago. Holding it up away from Mavropanos. Works it back into Aya, who thought he was caught. Referee does play advantage. And eventually the free kick's being given as Aya stays down. Again, probably taking a bit too long to play it there, Aya. So probably got away with it with the fact he was given a free kick. Yeah, just studs into the foot from Bowen. Just tried to nick the ball, but the ball had already gone. Nothing malicious in it. Free kick and move on. West Ham back in action quickly. Friday night to Ellen Road against Leeds. And then they've got a bit more time to prepare because they play Newcastle on the 2nd of November back here at the London Stadium. .13 to play at the London Stadium. Somehow Brentford have only got a 1-goal lead in this game. They've not lost back-to-back games yet this season, and it looks like that's going to stay the same. Coyote. It's now with Collins in front of his 18-yard box with the ball under no pressure at the moment. Henderson. Yarnell out wide to Coyote and into the space. Lewis Potter and Coyote kind of getting in each other's way there. Goes out for a throw-in eventually. Diouf with the throw. Gets it returned to him. But then it comes off him last, and that's a throw-in for Brentford. Good closing down from Yarmouk, who's just not stopped all game. Yegor Yarmouk, who's starting his first game against West Ham. His previous 3 appearances against the Hammers have been off the bench. Did start the last 6 games of last season, Yarmouk, and he's kind of continued that momentum into this season under Keith Andrews. And some West Ham supporters are already trickling out of the ground. They've had to wait a full international break and to be the last fixture of the weekend to see their team play, and they've not really been excited too much. Yarmouk in the area, slots it through. Eagle Thiago, big save at the near post by Areola. Only parried. It's now with Collins, about 30 yards from goal. Forward to Yarmouk. What a little flick that is to Coyote. Tries to return it to Yarmouk, cut out by Diouf, who goes over the challenge of Yarmouk. And that'll be a free kick in a left-back position for West Ham. Could have had a hat-trick tonight, Eagle Thiago. Had a goal ruled out for offside right before the half-time whistle in the first half, and then had a shot saved there by Areola. Don't get me wrong, the angle's tight. You would expect the goalkeeper to save it, which he did with glove and foot. Big kick from Areola. Header won though by Collins, controlled by Yarmouk. Last touch off the Brentford man. Throwing on halfway for West Ham. With El Hadj Diouf, who they brought in for £19 million from Sparta Prague. He'd played every minute in all competitions before tonight as he was dropped to the bench by Espirito Santo. Todibo, right centre-back, forward to Bowen, lays it off for Wan-Bissaka. Tries to find Marshall, who kicks it off Aya, who looks like he's struggling still with that knock he picked up against Bowen, but Brentford still have it. Left side of the 18-yard box with Collins. Forward through the middle to Henderson, who then clips it with height to Coyote at right back. Less than 10 to play. Do feel like Brentford could do with that second goal just to get themselves out of sight, if they can. Keith Andrews will want that goal. He has scored himself as a player against West Ham in his playing days for Blackburn Rovers in a 1-1 home draw at Ewood Park back in March 2009. Definitely not the start Nuno Espirito Santo would have wanted. 3 honours in his career as a manager. Won 2 trophies with Al Ittihad. Won the title in the Super Cup and then the Championship with Wolves in 2018. Bowen around the outside of Ayer towards the final third, completely isolated and surrounded by blue shirts. Kicks it off Yarnelt and then back off Bowen, and that'll be a throw-in for Brentford. And Ayer's gone back down. So it's a Brentford throwing in a left-back position, and their left-back is down, who looks to be struggling with a slight knock. Yeah, after a long day at work, especially a Monday as well, some of these West Ham fans just want to get home, have an early night, and try and forget about the performance they've just witnessed, because this has not been anything exciting at all. You can kind of see the way Nuno wants to play, Nuno Espirito Santo, with that kind of lower block, less of a press, but sometimes that less of a press just looks like you're allowing the opposition to kind of drive forward, and when you're driving forward in so much space, it kind of naturally just gives you confidence. And it seems like that's what Brentford have kind of worked on tonight, having that much freedom in the pitch. They've kind of just played with that swagger and confidence, and like I said, they've had a goal disallowed, they've hit the bar. Thiago's had a few one-on-ones where Areola's had to pull off a few saves. Areola controls and lifts it out to the right-hand side, kicks straight out of play. Throw in midway inside the West Ham half for Brentford on that far side. Going to be taken by Ayer, who's still okay to continue. They do have Rico Henry on the bench if they want to switch their left back, the Brentford. Yarnelt loses out to Paquetá, who wins the free kick. Paquetá not happy that the referee's blown his whistle for the free kick, because he kind of shrugged off Yarnelt, but the free kick's been given, and they've got to try and stay positive, West Ham here. They can still nick a point. I think that will only paper over the clear cracks that they've got. But these 3 points for Brentford would put them 13th and on 10 points, which is a healthy start when you think Southampton went down with 12 last season. Header off Ayer as that free kick went long by Areola. And now it's a Brentford throw. Take my eyes off the game for 2 seconds, and it's gone from a West Ham throw into a Brentford throw in. Do apologise, I didn't see that. Doesn't look best pleased there. Espirito Santo managed clubs like Valencia, Porto, Wolves. Managed Wolves for 199 games. Spurs for not very long, only a couple of months. His first win as a Premier League boss was actually a 1-0 away win at West Ham on the 1st of September 2018. Now his team are currently getting beaten 1-0. Mavropanos goes down. It's a free kick for West Ham. 5.5 to play. Mavropanos shuffling himself off the pitch because he wants his team to try and carry on as quickly as possible. Looks like it could be muscular for Mavropanos, actually. Seems in real discomfort. Taking one for the team. But looks like he's clutching that right hamstring. So West Ham carry on with 10. Somerville goes down. Referee doesn't give a free kick. And Brentford will try and break. Yarmouk sees space out wide right for Lewis Potter. Could have been a mistake for West Ham to continue with 10. Lewis Potter driving into a more central area. On his left foot. Goes for the shot. And that's not far at all. Was aiming for the top left corner. And he's not far away. Again, just allowed to drive with the ball because no one was putting him under any pressure. Diouf just gave up. Trying to close him down. And he swung his left foot at it. Just didn't get around it enough. Literally. It seems like a couple of inches more to the right. And that hits the back of the net. So close for Lewis Potter, who's searching for his first goal of the season. He scored one league goal last season, and that was in Brentford's first away win against Southampton at the beginning of January. Mavropanos, who came on at half-time, looks like he'll be coming back off here because he's done his hamstring in. What it seems is hamstring. And West Ham have made all 5 subs, so they're going to finish the game with 10. Mavropanos certainly won't be coming back on. And Brentford win a free kick. Igor Thiago pulled to the ground by Kilman. Just not what West Ham needed at all for a player to go off injured. But Brentford will just continue. They won't let that get into their heads. It's their 5th successive Premier League season for Brentford. Their average position since joining the Premier League has been 12th. Best finish was 9th in the 22-23 season. It's Henderson. Ball into the box. Aya heads it inside. Comes off Bowen. Wan-Bissaka needs to deal with it. Bowen helps him out. And kicks it off Collins. And it's a goal kick for West Ham. They've got over 3 minutes plus added on time to find an equaliser. Doesn't look like they're going to get it, if I'm going to be completely honest. But you know chances can come from nowhere in the Premier League. Things can change quickly. It's a 2-hour round trip for those Brentford supporters. Hour here, hour back. From west to east, and then from east back to west, London. Yarnelt gets there ahead of Marshall, kicks it out of play, throwing on the halfway line for West Ham on that far side. Wan-Bissaka on that right-hand side. Tackle by Sharda. Throwing midway inside the Brentford half this time around. Going to have to concentrate now, Brentford. And there's Mavropanos being taken away on a little cart from behind the goal. Clearly a serious muscle injury for him as Wan-Bissaka, Somerville went down off the ball. Referee didn't give anything. It's now with Collins on the edge of the box. Brentford will be hoping that added on time number is low. Collins finds Henderson. The touch isn't great and Somerville brought down by Henderson. It was required. It was needed. Henderson goes in the book. Collins wanted to go forward and kind of realised it wasn't on, so then had to try and play the ball inside and kind of toe-poked it to Henderson, which made the ball difficult to control. And as he miscontrolled it, Somerville nipped in and Henderson just had to take him down. And he'll receive the yellow card. Professional foul, for sure, by Jordan Henderson. But wasn't really his fault for that one. Bad pass to him. And yeah, had to take Somerville down. I love those sort of fouls. I know they're frustrating when it's against you, but it's clever. As Jordan Henderson applauds the travelling Brentford fans as he receives the yellow card, he comes off for the end of the game. He was struggling there, it seems, with a bit of cramp at the end. So he's replaced by Matthias Jensen, who's got the 1 goal so far this season. That stunner against Manchester United in that 3-1 win at the back end of September. It's Paquetá, crosses, headed won by Thiago. He'll be left to go out of play for a throw-in for West Ham on the far side. Not looking good for me. No, I don't think there will be another goal, but we'll have to wait and see. You just never know. It's going to be Diouf to take the throw in. Looks like he's got a long one in his locker. Diouf throws in. Headed on by Todibo. Big header away by Vandenberg. Wan-Bissaka back out wide to Diouf. Recycles it in. It's not a bad looking ball. Header one from Collins. Paquetá on the volley. Completely miscued and ballooned up in the air for a goal kick for Brentford. To the despair of the Hammers supporters. 4 minutes added on. 3.5 left of him to play. And as I mentioned before, I just think it's really important that this will mean Brentford haven't lost back-to-back games. 10 games, no competitions. Looks like it's going to be 5 wins, 4 defeats. It's steady. It's what they needed at the beginning of this new era. And, you know, an era that doesn't include Thomas Frank. Long ball from Brentford straight through to Areola, now thrown out to Diouf. Remember, West Ham are playing with 10, as they've used all 5 substitutes, and Mavropanos went off with what looked like a hamstring injury. If they lose tonight, West Ham, it'll keep them in 19th. Wan-Bissaka in an advanced position, gets it inside to Bowen in the box, tries the cross, which deflects up in the air. Coyote needs to deal with it, and he just gets rid. Throw-in next to the corner flag for the Hammers. And Diouf needs to take it quickly. Paquetá getting into the face of the referee. Again, just needs to settle down with that. Needs to be careful. It's going to be another long throw in here from El Hadj Diouf. In it goes to the near post. It's not the longest throw. It's headed away by Keane Lewis Potter. Overhead kick there, I think, by Yarmouk. It's Rodriguez, who's last man back for West Ham, to get it under control. Work it to the right to Wan-Bissaka. Down the line for Bowen, but it's misplaced. Straight out of play. And it's a frustrating throw-in to give away there for West Ham. Less than 2 minutes left of added on time. Still just the 1 goal for Brentford. That might be all they need to make it 7 Premier League wins out of 9 against West Ham United. The last 3 times Brentford have faced West Ham, they've faced 3 different managers. Nuno Espirito Santo, Graham Potter, Lopetegui. Actually 4 different managers in their last 4 meetings. Nuno Espirito Santo, Graham Potter, Julian Lopetegui and David Moyes. Shows the complete instability that's currently going on at the London Stadium and why West Ham fans are so frustrated with what's going on at the moment. They've won a free kick. Paquetá is going to take. They're sending everyone forward, clipped up towards Somerville. Drops and volleyed in the end away by Yarnell. Anywhere will do for Brentford, it seems. Less than a minute to go. Diouf throws it to Paquetá, just volleys it forward towards Marshall, who was offside. Again, just massively frustrating, and those empty seats continue to appear here at the London Stadium. 25 seconds to go. Kelleher on it. He will take his time, as much time as is allowed. Kicks it forward, down the Brentford right, up towards Igor Thiago. Through to Lewis Potter instead, who gets there ahead of Diouf. Lewis Potter squares it. Touch from Jensen. And a finish from the number 8, who scores off the bench once again. And wraps up the 3 points for the Bees. Mightily unlucky, it's not been more than 1-0 throughout the entirety of the game. But in the last seconds, they have eventually doubled their lead. Disappointment for West Ham. Complete delight for Brentford. It was a long ball by Kelleher. Igor Thiago went for it. Missed it, went through to Lewis Potter instead, who entered the box towards the byline, cut it back. An unmarked Jensen was allowed to take a touch, set himself, wrap his right foot around the ball, sending it into the top left corner. Unsavable for Areola. Precise. finish from the central midfielder. Scored off the bench against United. Scores again off the bench, this time against West Ham United. Keith Andrews completely buzzing as he celebrates with his coaching staff. And that will be the last action of the game. Nuno Espirito Santo got the better of Keith Andrews in the first game week of the season as his Forest side beat this Brentford side 3-1. Fast forward a couple of months, Nuno Espirito Santo, who's now in charge of West Ham, has been defeated by Brentford, who you can see are starting to believe in what they're building in West London. They might have lost their manager, their club captain and their 2 top scorers, but they've got foundations in place to promote from within, to believe in young players. And that is one of the better away performances you will see in the Premier League. A lot of work for Nuno Espirito Santo to do here at the London Stadium. Potentially a bigger mess than he thought when walking into this place. Complete disillusion for these West Ham supporters who don't quite know where to look or where to turn other than right for the exits to get out of this place. They've been defeated at home once again. They've not won here since the end of February. It's now 9 without a win in the league here at the London Stadium. They have lost 8 of their last 12 now in the division at this place. And things are just going from bad to worse. Brentford lift themselves up to 13th, 5 points off the drop. 6 clear of West Ham, who are stuck in 19th position. And anyone's guess is as good as each other's when trying to have any sort of punt of who will be going down come the end of the season in May. Great commentary, cheers mate, thank you very much. Hope everyone did enjoy who tuned in. Brentford showing everyone why they should not be disrespected or overlooked this season in the Premier League. So calm in the way they play, so assured of themselves. I was really impressed with what I saw because it was different. A lot of long balls in behind, making defenders have to defend in positions they don't want to defend, making them run towards their own goal, using the speed to get in behind them. It's a different way of playing, but then when they needed to play on the ground and they needed to play these quick passes, these short passes, they did it. Very multifunctional, this Brentford team, and I like what I saw a lot. And hopefully, fingers crossed for Keith Andrews, he can keep this going because he's got this opportunity and he's grasping it with 2 hands. But like I say, I hope you did all enjoy this live commentary. That is the end of the live stream. I hope you did enjoy. Make sure you like and subscribe before you go. But here at the London Stadium, Brentford took a lead in the 43rd minute through Igor Thiago. He was played the ball in the box from Kevin Schade. Big hand on it by Alphonse Areola, but couldn't keep it out. The ball rolled into the bottom right corner of the goal. He made it 2-0 before half-time, but it was disallowed for offside in the build-up after he dinked it over the West Ham goalkeeper. Then during the second half, there weren't as many chances for Brentford. West Ham tried to create some sort of momentum, but they couldn't. But right at the end, with one of the last kicks of the game on the break, Lewis Potter broke into the West Ham box, cut the ball back for Jensen, about 12 yards out right-footed, blasted the ball into the top left corner to get his second league goal of the season. Both of them off the bench, both of them late on. This one against West Ham, as his first came against Manchester United. But here at the London Stadium, misery continues for the Hammers as they are stung by the bees. It finishes West Ham 0, Brentford 2.